Well, first of all, let me provide some hard news perspective. We are entering a new age of evil. The last age that we had was in the 1930s, with the rise of the dictatorships all over the world that led to 100 million people dead in World War II, the Holocaust, on and on. Now, I wrote this book, Confronting Evil, to signal people that it was coming.
Paul gave this word of exhortation at the close of this great epistle. He says, "Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger, and do not give the devil a foothold."
So I started the book's research and writing about a year ago, and I knew, as you say a lot in your monologue, that things were deteriorating not only in the United States. This is not an American problem. This is a worldwide problem. And my opinion that I inject into the book, backed by facts, is that too many people in the world and in this country are looking away. We are looking away. And we are allowing evil to gather power. And you can just analyze it from every point of view.
Charlie Kirk got shot and killed. How do you feel?
Happy. Goodbye.
See that Charlie Kirk just got shot and killed?
That's good. Girl, someone had to do it.
He was a disgusting person with disgusting beliefs.
Yeah, he's a I'm like, yeah, he's an you know?
He's you got what you deserve. I'm sorry. You're a bad person. Bad things happen to bad people. Celebrate it. It should happen more often. Not death necessarily, but like karma, big fan of it.
It didn't used to happen, but now it does. Too many Americans and people all over the world are so self-involved, so selfish, so weak, so afraid that they are allowing evil to grow at an exponential rate, a rate that is horrifying, horrifying.
You know, on a podcast a couple of months back, Charlie was asked about how he'd want to be remembered if he died. His answer, I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith, and that was Charlie. And in this dark moment for our country, I think that's the greatest lesson any of us can take from Charlie. To have faith in the Lord, and to be bold in how we glorify him. To be bold in our pursuits as Charlie was in his. So that's what we're going to spend a little bit of time doing this afternoon. Keeping this incredible show he created going, and hearing from some of the people who were so fortunate to call Charlie a friend. We're going to pay tribute to his courageous legacy, and we're going to commit to keep it forever alive. I'm looking forward to this. Join us.
Ezekiel described, he said, if the watchman sees the enemy coming and doesn't sound the alarm to warn the people, he is responsible for their captivity. We have a culture that's being taken captive. We have whole generations have been taken captive, and there are very few of us who are speaking out.
Instead of saying sorry, ousted MSNBC analyst, if you want to call him that, Matthew Dowd, is trashing the network for firing him after these despicable comments. Listen.
We don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration. He's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. You can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Yeah, have fun being unemployed, Matt. The network apologized for the comments, but Dowd doubled down on his nasty rhetoric and is now accusing MSNBC of caving to the, quote, right-wing mob.
You know, Rita, it's the most visceral reminder of evil in our midst, evil in this realm, at least since October 7th. This has been the personally saddest that I have been since October 7th, and it's also just the most visceral reminder that there is such profound, unmitigated evil. And you know, some of the specific details are. I don't even have words for this. I mean, demonic, satanic. I mean, out of the pits of hell. I mean, use whatever verbiage you want to do. You know, at the University of Louisville in Kentucky, there was some caricature on a bulletin board saying debate this, and it was, I guess, a caricatured version of Charlie getting a bullet into the neck there. There was some other story that I saw of a third or a fourth grade elementary school teacher showing the video of him getting shot to the students there. I mean, this is someone who should not merely be fired from being an elementary school teacher. That person should be publicly flogged, like literally flogged with lashes in the town square, and probably sent to a mental asylum.
As I woke up this morning and saw the clouds and it was kind of dark, I thought to myself, it kind of expresses the mood I think that many of us have right now. Over the last 5 days, it's been a particularly difficult time for many of us. It really begs the question, I think, that Peter asked the church in 2 Peter 3:11, where he said, what sort of people should we be? In other words, in context, he said, in the light of all these things that we're talking about, both the trials of life and the struggles, but the second coming of Christ and all the rest of it, that all of this is going to be burned up and consumed. If we take all of that information and we put it into our brains, what kind of a conclusion, what kind of decision should we make is going to be the trajectory of my life from this point forward? It's really a point of illumination. Things that happen in our life that suddenly causes us to step back and see the same things we saw every day for months and years before, but we see them with a different set of eyes. They impact us. Suddenly there's a clarity in that moment, and we go, now I see what it's really about. Now I see what's really going on. And I think for many of us, that's where we're at right now. We knew that there were some issues in the country, but how many people really recognize that we're in the middle of a civil war? I think he also understood, and I had the sense, things I heard him saying towards the end, that he understood the price that he would pay. When Jesus warned us in John 15:18, he says, if the world hates you, it'll hate me. It hated me first. But little do they realize the words of Hosea when he said, they have sown to the wind, and they will reap the whirlwind. Amen. Carl Sandburg said about Lincoln, he said, you never know the true measure of a tree until it is felled. It's amazing how over and over again the victimizers become the victims in our current narrative. So that when a young woman is stabbed in the neck as she's riding home from work on mass transit, before long, we have people on the media talking about, well, the justice system failed this young man. If our nation was to survive, that the freedom of speech, of expression, religion, the First Amendment, which America is unique in having, that it's stated in our Constitution, our Declaration, as being an inalienable right given to us by God, not by government. But if it was going to survive, it had to also be exercised. It had to be utilized, as well as being protected and defended. It can never be allowed to be silenced, whether it's by force or fear. Ultimately, for us, we have to declare that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And we're told that we have to address it quickly. We have to kind of get a hold of it before it becomes a foothold for Satan, which I have seen that foothold eventually turns into a stranglehold. So that when we look at these people like Crooks or Ruth or Robinson who've done these things, and many others, like this guy killing this young Ukrainian girl, when we see people doing that, we have to realize that Satan has completely taken a control of them. And without that understanding of the power of Satan in these people's lives, we miss the whole point. So we get caught up in every conspiracy video that's been doctored by AI to live us, to get us to say, I saw it with my own eyes, not realizing, no, you've got a product that's been manufactured, and we lose sight of really what's the issue. Satan and the demons of hell are the issue, And if we think we're going to fight him with guns and weapons or our own strength, you're a fool. Because he'll only be broken by the power of God.